Hello. Can someone confirm whether you can see my screen or not? Is my browser window visible? Yes, fantastic. So let me open a private window. So let me open the website what we all know. So this is a simple web page. So it's not fancy. So even you and me, after learning Bootstrap, we can make it. So here, what is HTML? What is CSS? What is Bootstrap? And what is JavaScript? So if you see here, this is a simple web page. So how to see the source code? So I didn't create this website with the Photoshop, right? So I didn't use any of the graphical editor or any of the graphical software to create it. So the developer has to write code. So he has to write the HTML, he has to write CSS or any CSS framework like Bootstrap, and he has to write JavaScript for functionality. So where can I see it? So let me go to the inspect. So it's simple. So right click, and here you can see view page source or inspect. Anything is fine. Let's go to view page source. Control U is a shortcut. Let me go there. See this extreme code, a lengthy code, which is not understandable because it's compressed for the performance. So how to see it? So to see it in an order, so in an understandable way, here it is. Click on the inspect. You can see a properly formatted text source code. So there is a, you might have already identified it. There is an HTML tag, there is a head tag, there is a body tag. When you expand the head tag or when you expand the body tag, so there are scripts. So there is divisions. Inside a division, there are multiple elements which are nested. Nested means they are enclosed. And again, inside a div, there is another div. Inside div, there is another div. So it's all a source code. So you might be familiar with the basic items like HTML tag, head tag, body tag, div tag. So these are the different tags which are there in the HTML. So this HTML code, as well as if you see, go to inspect, go to network. So you don't need to understand anything. So it's a console. So if you want to debug the client side, you go to this, go to the CSS, and let me refresh it. Okay. And if you see, there are multiple CSS files. So don't worry guys, I just want to see you. So this is the CSS code. So there will be dots, there will be some code. So forget about everything. So any code, so whatever you see in the source code is going to contain an HTML code, a CSS code, and a JavaScript code. HTML code is for the adding elements into a web page. So somebody got it out? Okay. So I'll give you a chance to ask any questions. So mute yourself till then. So see, there is a Facebook word is there. There is a blue color ribbon is there, and there is a text box. There is a label. There is a label again. There is a button. So there are multiple text boxes. So these are called the radio buttons. So these things are HTML elements. Now there is a blue color on this ribbon, and there is so there is some space here, and this text is aligned to the bit right, and this text box and this text box are in the same line, and because mobile number occupies so much space, so it's in the next line occupying the full width, right? So the elements, how they should align is what CSS does. So let me open Notepad. There is HTML, there is CSS, and Bootstrap, and there is JavaScript. So what HTML does? HTML is nothing but the collection of elements. So this label, this text box, this header, and this radio button. So any element you see in a web page comes to HTML. it's an HTML, and where it should be positioned. So where exactly it should be there, so which color it should be, how much width it should be, how much length it should be. So the size, position, style, font of an element is what CSS does. So this is what you do in the CSS. So you will style the elements. Are you getting? So any doubts till now? So the two things we learned. So the elements itself is an HTML, and the style, position, color, font size, any, so the graph, how it should look, so how the format should be is what CSS does. So the HTML tag or body tag, div tag, all this is an HTML. In CSS or Bootstrap, you might see there will be font size property, font color property, color property, and background color. So all this will be the part of CSS. And what about the JavaScript then? So is somebody annotating? Okay. So this is what HTML and CSS. So till now, so we didn't even start the JavaScript till now. So anybody has any doubts in understanding what HTML is and what CSS is? Anybody has any doubts? Please be interactive. Any doubts, please ask me. So there is a chat window. Validation. So Sinath, what do you want to ask? So we'll come to the validation part. So that's what we do in the JavaScript basically. Any operations we do it in the JavaScript. So just tell me, so are there any doubts in HTML and CSS? So if it is done, I'll proceed further. Great. I'll take it as there's no doubts. So let me proceed further. So guys, it's difficult for me to open a chat window. So if you have any doubt, unmute yourself and ask the questions. It's fine. So,
sir.
Yeah.
Facebook is having some blue color width, no, sir?
Yes, the blue color header. Yeah.
How to give that dimensions? I mean, how to specify that specific dimensions for that blue color?
So there are different properties in the CSS like height, width, color. So if you right click, so for suppose you want to check this, right? So right click and click on the inspect. Let me just collapse it. See, here you can see the styles. So if you see, there will be somewhere a blue color will be mentioned.
Yes.
Let's see where it is exactly mentioned. So your doubt is about the height, right? See,
yes,
here the height is mentioned. How much width is it? Here you can mention. So if somebody is annotating, can you stop doing that? I mean, if unintentionally is doing. So I am not doing the annotation. So there are some red marks. So yeah, okay. So here it is. For suppose you can change it here. Can you notice? So you're using height property of CSS. See where it is? It's in the styles, right? So you can use the height property of the CSS to control the height, and even same for the width, and even same for the color, right? It's all the part of CSS. When you go deep into the CSS, you can play around with these, these options. So right?
Thank you.
Fantastic question. So any other one? Any question? It would be great. So any question, it's fine. Just ask. I'm just giving you 2 minutes of time to format the questions. So ask in any language, even that's fine, Telugu or English. If there is something in your head, just throw it. Okay, so let's proceed further. So now you know what HTML and what CSS does. So what about the JavaScript? So with HTML and CSS, with this combination, we can program, we can write, or we can code only static web applications. That means they will not be dynamic. You can't communicate with them. So they're just there to present the data, right? So it's like reading a book. So you can take the instructions, you can read it, you can get the information, but you cannot do anything with a book, right? So for suppose if there is any doubt, you cannot click on that specific paragraph and you can't perform any operations, right? So book, it's like a radio, it's a one directional. So what if you want to submit some data? What if you want to perform some operations? What if you want to send some data? You need that interactivity. So the static websites plus JavaScript will provide that interactivity, and so it will make a dynamic web applications. How? Now there is a first name, surname, mobile number, password. These all things I need to give. So this is the basic information the Facebook is asking to give you the perfect user experience to match your age or match your region, so match your age. So your feed will be generated based on the data you provide, right? So let me turn off. Give me a second, guys. Okay, so now I don't give any of them. The Facebook is asking, but I don't want to give any of them. So what happens? So when I click on this sign up, observe clearly, it's prompting me to enter your first name. Okay, let me enter my first name. It's Suresh, and then I'll click on this sign up. See, now it's not complaining about the first name because I already provided it. Now it's complaining about all the other fields. Now let me give surname also. Now let me click on the sign up. See, now it's complaining about the mobile number. So what exactly it is doing in the background? So it is checking. So what are the fields I didn't give properly, and it's complaining about them. Once I have given them, I'm ignoring, it's okay with that. It's complaining about the other fields. This is what's called as interactivity. So with HTML and CSS, you will not get that interactivity. It's just read only. You can read the information, that's it. But if you want to perform some logic, if you want to communicate with the web page, so if your web page should behave based on your actions, and if it has some expectations to be fulfilled by you, and if you want it, if your web page should be like that, if your web page has to be interactive with the customer, you have to use the JavaScript. That's it. It's not only the JavaScript. Forget about the web applications. Any kind of applications, that's what any programming language does. So now tell me, so what are the different programming languages are there? Now we are using JavaScript, right? We are learning it. So is it the only programming language? There are multiple programming languages, right? So can someone ping it in the chat? So what are the programming language you are familiar with? You know the names. That familiar means you don't need to know it, you don't need to code in it. So what are the programming language you heard of? Fantastic. This is the response I want. Avinash, great. Python, C, C++, Srinath, Java, fantastic. .NET, great. PHP, great. So all the major familiar languages, C#, fantastic. So Srinath, one thing, .NET is not a programming language. C# is a programming language. .NET is a complete package which includes the programming language. So we'll discuss it later. So anyway, right. So great. Others. Yes, there are a lot of programming languages. There is an F sharp, right? There is a Go. Right. So fantastic. So there are almost like 500,000 programming languages. We know very few. CSS is not a programming language. It's a style manipulator. So yeah. Any other guesses? Right. Right. So there is C, there is C sharp, there is F sharp, and this Python, as you guessed. There is Go, and yeah, there are around 500,000. There is Photon. Yeah. So these are the, yes. There is R programming. Fantastic. Right. So when we have these many options, so there are around 10 to 15 programming languages. JavaScript is not even a top. So there are the C sharp, and Java is the most used programming language. Then why we have to learn JavaScript? It has its flaws. It's not a perfect programming language, so it doesn't have all the features that's what C sharp and Java is offering. But still, why we are learning JavaScript? Because listen carefully, we don't have a choice. Out of all these 1,000 languages, your browser, that means that can be your computer browser in Windows or Linux or Mac, or that can be your tablet, or that can be your mobile, your Android mobile, or that can be your basic keypad phone, or it can be iPhone. Any expensive or any cheap device supports only JavaScript. We don't have choice. JavaScript is the only programming language that is supported by all the browsers in the universe. If you want to code a front-end application, if you want to create an web application, you have to use the JavaScript. You don't have a choice. So that's why you have to learn JavaScript compulsory if you want to be a web developer, right? Any doubts? So JavaScript in your browser, fantastic. Beta. So what do you mean by beta, Anirudh? Are you intending to say it's a beta language, or is it a language you are talking about? Okay, so is it a programming language you're saying? So beta, no, I didn't hear of it. No. Okay, good. So see, so what we have learned, JavaScript is the only choice for us. So now, because it's too important, let's start. What is the most used language supported by browser? Leela Anudup, so only language supported by the browser is the JavaScript. It's nothing like, there's nothing like most used language. Only language supported by the browser is the JavaScript. You don't have a choice. What language is programming satellites? So we'll discuss it later. So there are, the satellite means the entire module. So the entire thing will not be used by a single programming language. For suppose if you take the YouTube, so there is a Python which is used, there is PHP which is used, there will be R. So it depends on the module. So if you are going for the data science, R will be used. Or if they are into the Microsoft ecosystem, C# will be used. If it is developed by the suppose there will be some module which can be developed in the Java, you cannot actually say it, right? And okay. So from the complete question, because the context is changing, so I am not able to answer that. So frame the complete question. So when you have a question, okay. So now let's start writing a Java application first. So how to do that? You don't need any IDE. Simply take a notepad file. Let me open Notepad. Let me click on OK. So how many of you are using laptops to watch this session? Or let me reframe this. So anybody using phone to watch this? No, right? Fantastic. So in that case, you also open a notepad application. So go to the start window. Let's do together our first JavaScript application. Let's build. Let's everybody build. Open notepad. That's it. Okay. So everybody open. Please be active. Please share in the chat. So if you want to participate, if you want to do it with me, just be interactive and open a notepad application. What's the option for Mac? So Mac, I'm not very any notepad. It can be Notepad plus plus or any text editor is fine. So let me Google it. Actually, even I am not familiar with the notepad for Mac. On the Mac side, there is a text editor which is Mac text edit. Open that application. Okay, fantastic. So let me go back. Now we are in a new text file. We now just type alert. It can be it should be ideally it should be in a small letters. So lowercase alert bracket double quotes, inside that put hello, I am learning JavaScript. Here you can write your name also, anything is fine, but make sure you write alert bracket, open the bracket, double quotes, and any text, I am Suresh or I am Anudeep or I am Vijay, anything is fine. Write anything and again close the double quotes, close the bracket, put a semicolon. So I am pasting it in a chart window. Right? Everyone copy this. I am giving a minute. Right. Now once you're done with it, go to file, go to save as and save it somewhere. Choose, I'm saving it in the desktop. It's very important. Save it as anything. For suppose here I am typing it as Suresh web page. Important thing is, yes, alert of hello sir, thank you sir, thank you Sina. Yeah, you can use that. So dot html, by default it will be saved as txt. So but we should, important thing is you should use .html as an extension. So in Mac, this in Mac also, so there is one Mac user, make sure you save it in the .html extension. So Suresh web page .html, and here you can put Srinath.html or Vijay.html, save it that way and click on save. Done. I'm done. Now let me go to the desktop. So hope everybody completed that step and go here, see the magic. Here the browser extension, I mean Google Chrome is my default browser, so that icon has come because it's an HTML page. You wrote an HTML page. Now open that page. So there's something wrong. So alert of hello. Yeah. So sorry guys, there is one important thing. Encode it in the script tag. So go back to the document, put it in a script tag. A script, this is an opening tag and this is a closing tag. So what is the difference? You just need to put a forward slash. That's it. Now save it. Now refresh that page. Ta-da! See, can you see? An alert has come. Hello, I'm learning JavaScript. When you click on OK, it goes. Refresh it again. Again you will see, hello, I'm learning JavaScript. That's it. Click on OK, it will go. So how many of you completed this? The simple 3 lines of code, and let me paste it again in a chart window. Right. So just execute this and revert back. complete this fast. We have a minute of time. Anybody is getting any error who is not able to execute this? Please unmute yourself or respond it in a chat. It's fine. No errors, sir. Fantastic, Hemant. Once repeat the process, sir. Sure, Hemant. So simple thing. Take a notepad application, open that, and in that application, copy the source code which I am given. So this is the code. I'm copying it from it, paste it, and save as. Click on save as in a desktop. So save it as. So who asked it? Hemant. So any name is fine. Hemant.html. I'm saving like this, right? The important thing is you should save it as an HTML file. Then only browser will recognize it as an HTML file, so it will render it. That's it. I'm saving it in on a desktop. Let me go there. Here you can see an HTML page, HTML document with Hemant name. Open that. Turn on. Hello, I'm learning JavaScript. It came. Simple. Srinath, fantastic. No error finished. Anirudh, fantastic. Great. So yeah, now let's do one more thing. So this is too plain. HTML document. This document is blank. We have only a script. Ideally, without an HTML tag or without any other tags, with just script tags, it's working beautifully. But ideally, any HTML document should start with HTML tag and it should end with HTML. So there are two most important tags will be there in that. One is body. So close it. So HTML is two things here. One is an opening tag. One is a closing tag. 90% of the tags will have an opening and closing. There will be only few mono tags will be there. You can learn it later. There are very few actually. So there is an HTML. Then let me properly indent it. There is a body and also there should be head. Right. Just remember this. It's very simple. There will be an HTML tag. Inside HTML, we will have two tags. One is head, one is body. Okay. So this script should go inside head. It works even without the head and body tags. It works. But when you're writing so much of code, when you're writing 1000 lines, 2000 lines of code, you should have a properly formatted HTML. Otherwise, browsers will complain. Okay. So you don't have to write it. I'll send it as it is very simple. Now inside body, let me write h1 an h1 tag. That means heading, a proper heading. I'll write this is JavaScript class, and guys, this is right. So once some error or some message is popping up as a pop-up and it's displaying, right, it's called an alert. It's a function, JavaScript function. Every browser, your browser, my browser, everything knows this function. It works in all the browsers. It's a very basic function. So let me change it. I'm an alert message. Right. Now this blank page will not be blank anymore because we wrote some HTML code. Okay. Let me refresh. Click on OK. See. You saw a text. So this text came from the HTML. This alert came from the JavaScript. So now let me do one thing. I don't like the default black color. I want to make it blue. How can I do? Then, so first you guys copy this, paste it in your Windows and save it again and refresh. It should come. Meanwhile, okay. So anyone can confirm. I'll move forward. Just any one of you quickly copy and run it. Is it executing? Just confirm with me. I'll move to the next thing. So there are few people who enrolled. So for them, quickly I'm telling you, open a notepad application, copy this code here to the notepad, save it as hemant.html. Like that you save the file and execute. So it will come. Run that page. So this simple HTML page will be there. Okay, so anyone run it, or else let's continue further. So let me go to, I'm working on the Hemant's page only. So here I want to apply some color. So what we discussed, so if you want to change the color, change the size, or change the position, any styling if you want to do, you have to use CSS. Let's use it. Let me go to, so if you want to write any styles, you have to use style tag. Okay, so all the styles should be inside this tag. So if you want to write any JavaScript, we have to use script tag. All the JavaScript code should be in the scripts. One new message. So what is that? So paste it here. So I'll paste it. Wait. So I'll complete this CSS code also and I'll paste. Yeah. Now, yeah. So what we are discussing. So any JavaScript code should be inside the script tag. Any CSS code should be inside the style tag. Okay. So there can be any number of script tags. For suppose there can be, let me copy this, and there can be any number of script tags, and maybe I'm an alert message 2, I'm an alert message 3, that's it, and those many number of alerts will be printed, alert 1, alert 2, alert 3, and similarly there can be a number of styles. Okay, so let me remove the scripts, duplicate scripts. Now let me write styles. So there is then, for this h1 I want to apply style. So for this h1 tag, so I should open flower brackets. Inside that there is a property with the name color. So you can give, I want it should be in a blue color. So color column blue semicolon, right? Let me save it. Check this. It will be in a blue color. Okay, and I don't want it to be in a blue color. I want to be in a red color. Refresh it. This is in a red color. So this is what CSS does. It will apply some styles. This is what script does. It will apply some interactivity. So you're communicating, you're pressing an OK, this is interactivity. That's what JavaScript is doing for that. So I'm not teaching you HTML here. So let me give it, let me copy and paste it in a chart window. Paste it in your notepads, save it and rerun this. You should be able to see this. Okay, so let me remove the styles now. Let's focus more on the JavaScript. Now we got the alert. So let me go to the port client and let's see. So some theory here. Meanwhile, so JavaScript is a programming language that is similar to other languages like Java, C# and is written inside script tag. You have seen here. So let me code my application. Yeah, see, we are written inside a script tag as you have seen. Whereas JavaScript is a front-end language which defines the behavior of an HTML application and make your static HTML page into the dynamic page. Fantastic. JavaScript used in several frameworks. So it will be used in the Node.js framework. Framework is basically an entire software development environment. Node.js, AngularJS, React.js, in a lot of frameworks. Later you'll see there will be frameworks and you'll write JavaScript code in regard to that framework. And JavaScript considers both single and double quotes as same. Here I can use the double quotes or I can use the single quotes. Anything is fine. And so what are the advantages? Can change the HTML content. For suppose here this is JavaScript class is there, right? With script I can change it. So I can be like, for suppose I will write an ID for suppose head 1. So with that, so document dot get element by id of, so document is a member and get element by id is a function. Document is an object, built-in object, and get element by id is a, we'll discuss it later. So let me finish it first. Here I'll use a single quotes because I can use anything. So I'll use head 1. I'll write here inner HTML. So changed class. So I think I use small, so as per the JavaScript naming conventions. Let me save it. Let's see it. So I'm not very sure how it works. Let's see. What we are written, change class, it should be change class. Okay, let me debug it. So whenever there are any doubts, so there is an error. So what is that? So inner HTML of null document dot get element by id of h1. Okay, get element by id. Let's see. Cannot read the property of inner HTML of an element. So head 1. Okay. Let element fantastic. So I got an element. So here is the element. It's null. Document dot by get element by id. Head 1 is not there. Okay, it's not there because it's there in the first. So let me move this code. So don't worry guys, it's a simple mistake. So we need to first HTML will be rendered. So after that we need to write. Right. Yeah, now we got an HTML. Let me write. So fantastic. See. So let's change that. So dot HTML equal to any name. For suppose I want to change it as this is changed from the JavaScript. So why the error has come, I'll explain that too briefly. So let's see whether it's working or not. Let me remove this debugger. Let me save it. Now continue. So refresh. So this is changed from the JavaScript. So initially this is JavaScript class is there. After that, so there is start. Where is that? Okay. So now see. So there is an element. So this is what we changed from the JavaScript. That means the text, the elements, how they behave, and the IDs, everything we can manipulate the entire text from the JavaScript. That's what it is. That's what it is. So we can change the styles. So what is the advantage? You can change the behavior. You can change the element. You can change the attributes. You can change the content. So why the error has come here? Because first the element will be rendered. So previously this script used to be there initially in the head. So by that time, so any programming language will compile lines from beginning. So first this line will execute, this will execute, this will execute. So by the time it is executed, this element is not there because it is there in the downside. So it will execute later after this. That's why a null has come. That means this JavaScript is not able to find this element. Now when I move this code to the bottom of this element, by the time there is already an element, there is already an object which is created, so this piece of code did work. So let me copy this and paste it here in chart. Now initially it is I'm an alert message, initially this is JavaScript class, this text will be changed by the JavaScript in this example, right? Now let's move to the next slide. So quickly read it. JS program is constructed with set of instructions from the computer. These instructions are known as JavaScript statements. Important. So here this is a statement. So here this is a statement. So JavaScript is nothing but a set of statements, and JavaScript statements are composed of values, operators, expressions, keywords, comments, lot of things. So first let's go to the comments and let's understand that. Now I have only 2 lines of code in the JavaScript. I'll have 1000 lines of code. I have 10,000 lines of code. So as a developer, I should understand how it is functioning. So I should understand that this alert message will be printed to the browser. So that's what this next line is going to do. I want to specify this. So later the lines will be more complicated. So in that case, I need to explain the code. For that, there are comments. So when you use 2 /, when you write something, it will not be executed by the browser. So it is a comment for a developer to understand that. Are you getting? So now if you write, let me write it. So let me put there. So let me refresh it. Alert message. So the line which I wrote here will not be printed. So it will not be printed. So it's for the developer to understand what exactly the code is. So here we have wrote only the static text. We have used the default functions. Later we'll use the keywords. We'll use different expressions, values, operators. So what are the JavaScript values? So further you need to understand what variable is. Now, so JavaScript is nothing but there will be some statements, and also you need to save something in a memory. You want to save something. For suppose I want to remember, so there should be so let me write name is some variable. So when I specify that, so I'm creating a variable. Here with this variable I can save some data. For suppose I want to save name equal to Suresh, right? Or this is Suresh, like that. So let a keyword or where, let's use where. So name is a variable, and this is some data I'm saving. So in the alert, so instead of the static text, instead of hard coding it, instead of specifying it, let me remove this data and I can just print name. Let me save it. So let me run this. So I'm changing it. So let me comment this. So it will not be executed. So we are changing alert, right? So it's fine. So this is Suresh. You see. So this is Suresh. Now I don't want this is Suresh. I want this is funny. Let me save it. Now refresh it. See, this is funny has come. So what exactly is happening with this statement? So this value, what I'm giving in the right side, is getting saved in this variable. This is called variable. It's like a container. So it saves some data. Okay, and it will be used in the next line in this alert. Okay, so I can rewrite it. I can write anything. So that will be remembered in this, and it will be used in the next line. Okay, you're getting my point. So now here my data is a string. That means it's a text. Now sometimes my data can be number also, where for suppose age is there. Age cannot be a text, right? It is a number. So suppose 26. Sometimes data can be a boolean, that means true or false. For example, let's take is married. No, as I'm not married, I'm putting it false, or if I'm married, I'll put it true. So there is different kind of data. There is a string, there is a number, there is an there will be float number, there is boolean, and where percentage, some exam percentage, that can be 72.567. It can be the percentage. So it can be any kind of data. So based on the right side value, the data type of the left type will be changed, will be assigned. So as it is a string, so the data type of data of name is string. As it is a number, it's number, it's a float number. Again, it's a number. So there is no float in JavaScript, and here it is false. So it will be treated as a boolean, and I can use any of it. So let me put a let of name instead of name. Let me write age. Let me save it, refresh it. Here I will get 26. Instead of here age, let me write is married. Let me save it. A false. So whatever is given is coming here. So that's what is are the values. So there can be numbers, there can be strings. So we already discussed what is a variable. Variable is nothing but a var keyword. You'll give some, if you want to save something, you'll give some name. So this whatever is given in the right side will be saved inside this container. That's called a variable. This is called a variable. Any variable, if you want to write some variable, you should start with a var keyword, space, and name of the variable, and assign data to this. So this is the syntax, proper syntax. If you want to save, there should be a var keyword, there should be the name of the variable, and the data which should be assigned. Got it? So I'm sending this again. So anyone has any doubts in the variable in this specific slide? Here you can see. Anyone has any doubts? Okay. Now in that case, I'll move to the operators. Now I want to perform some calculations. So let me do one thing. So I'll remove everything. So I'll write, for suppose, var number 1 equal to 21, var number 2 equal to 50. A proper syntax, two variables I've taken. Now I'll take another variable, I'll name it as result, and I want a sum of these two numbers. What I can do, I'll write number 1 plus number 2, right? And so for the result, the value of number 1, that means 21 here, the value of number 2, that means 50 here, will be summarized, will be added, and will be saved into the result variable. Here I want to give the result. So I want to print what is available in the result, what is saved in the result variable. So let me run this. So let me go there. Let me refresh it. See. So we have taken 21 plus 50, obviously, which is 71, which is printed. So these are called the operators. This plus operator here, and this plus is an operator here. You can use, for suppose you want to subtract it, use minus, save it, and so rerun that. Obviously 21 minus 50 minus 21 minus 29, which is printed here. So you can use subtraction, you can use you can use any of the mathematical operation which will be supported. That's how you'll work with the operators, right? So any doubts till now? ping it in a chart. So there is a chart, string plus number. Interesting question. In that case, it will be treated as a string. So anything. So if you want, if you concatenate, so if you perform, for suppose it's when you are dealing it with a string, it will no longer be a mathematical operation. It will be treated as a concatenation. That means 21 plus, for suppose if I take name equal to Suresh. So if I perform an operation with name plus num1, so it will not be a mathematical operation now because it's a string. So it will be concatenated. That means it will print as Suresh 21. Okay. Suresh 21. Because there is string, you can't perform a mathematical operation. Any other doubts? Fantastic, Hemant. Similar to C, yeah, in C also it's same. 1 second. Okay, sorry, I'm muted. So if for ASCII character, basically you can use char code at, there is some built-in functions to get that. So for that function, you can pass a character, it will give you the ASCII code. Sorry, I'm muted. So any other doubts you have? Okay, so let me move forward. So here I have only 2 lines of code. What if I have 1000 lines of code, 2000 lines of code? In that case, I can't crash the application by writing 10,000 lines, 2000 lines of code in a single page. What I should do is, I should take a separate application, separate page, which is completely dedicated to the JavaScript, and I'll refer it here. I'll show you. I'll take another notepad application. So here I want to write only the JavaScript, right? Now my JavaScript code, whatever it is there, so suppose here I have in the header this script section. Let me remove this, let me paste it here. Okay, and let me save it as JS file because it's a completely JavaScript, there is no HTML in it. So let me save it as script.js. remember the extension. So any JavaScript file, the extension should be .js. Okay, so I wrote it as script.js. Let me save it. Now let me go back. So in this file, so here inside body or inside head, I will write script src equal to, so what is the name of the file? So if you see here, this is script.js, right? So I need to remember one thing before learning. So the paths and absolute paths and paths, your JS file should be in a same directory. If your hemant.html is there in the D drive and projects location, your script file also should be in the same location. Okay, then go to your HTML page after completing your script.js, and here in the head give script.js. So in the same way how you saved it, and close it, right? I saved it. Now let me open your HTML page. So it's not working. Unexpected token, there's something wrong with the script.js. Let me see. Script. I think you don't need to use. Let me comment this. Yeah. So in case if you are using a JavaScript file, you don't need to use the script tags because there is a JS extension directly to work. So the same thing. So remember this. So we moved our JavaScript code from HTML page to a JavaScript file, and in our HTML file we just given the path of the JavaScript file. That's it. So our JavaScript code is working. So here our HTML file is fetching the entire JavaScript code, copying that and pasting it here, and it's working. So ideally your real-time applications will have hundreds of JavaScript files. Okay, you're getting. So I'm sending you the code of this. So remove this. That's it. So copy this in your I don't think the same code, I don't need to copy and paste you, so you can work. So take in a new file and create it as a script.js and refer it in the HTML. So I'm sending you the HTML code. Script. Okay. So that's it. Okay, any doubts in this? Okay, moving forward, the next slide. JavaScript can display data in different ways. Writing it in HTML file, using it in HTML, what we have done. So we can use document.write. For suppose if you want to write something to the document and you don't want to use an HTML, so there is a tag here. So let me remove it. So instead of removing, I want to reuse it. So let me just comment it. So if I want again, I can just remove those double forward slashes, and here I can just write. If you want a plain text without any formatting, you can just write this is written with the document write function. Oh, it is. Script. So what is that? Is there any error reported here? No. So somebody is serving something. It's one time. Comment to show. So what's the comment? Let me just remove it. Otherwise, so it should be printed. Is it the file correct? So hammer.txt. Otherwise, let me do one thing. This is something, so it's good, it's fine. So it is not working, so let me remove this. So something wrong, so let me save this. So let me save this file. Yeah, now it's written. So this is written with the document write function. So what is the error we made? Let's see that. Yeah, because when the script is there, so it's not working. Okay, ignore that. Yeah, it's working. So that can be, yeah, there's no issue here. So when the script is there, it's not working. So you can use the document.write also. Now, yeah. So any doubts here? HTML comment, yeah. Anyway, I removed it. Let's go. So alert we have seen, you don't need to use window.alert because window is a global object. You can directly use alert, what we have used it. So if you want to use the print function, for suppose I want to take this as it is and I want to paste it here. So for suppose in a body, let me write it. So button is an HTML tag. So if you want to call a JavaScript function, you can use onClick event equal to onClick equal to, it will call a JavaScript function. So window.print is a global function and it's going to print. So let me save this, and so it's going to open a print wizard. Let me go there, paste it. See, when I click on that icon, so it will call a print wizard. So you'll get the printer section, right? And yeah, so one more important thing, you'll get a console.log. Copy that. So for suppose you want to log something, so you have some developer configuration or something only developer should read it. So if there are any error messages, if there are any small warnings which are not breaking, they are not breaking any website, so in that case you can use console.log option, which will be logged to the console. So what is console? So let's see that. So let me paste it. So when I say console.log of 5 plus 6, so here when I right click and when I inspect, this is console. Here you can see a console. So any error messages, any warning or any messages you print to the console, like here by using the console object, will come here. So refresh it, see 11 has come. So let me put it in a way, or let me write, this should be printed to the console and refresh, it will come. For suppose I have made some mistake, instead of LOG I use LAG. It's actually intentionally I'm making an error. It's a JavaScript error. Now even this error will come to the console, you can see. So any error you made as a programming, and if you want to intentionally write some log, everything will be printed here. Okay, right. Now let's move to the another slide. The comments we have seen here. If you want to write some JavaScript comments, so this is the way. If you want, so if you want to write multi-line comments, for suppose you can't write double forward slash to the every line. So you want multiple comments, then you will use the forward slash and star, and it should end with the star and the backward forward slash again. This is the multi-line comments. For suppose let me copy, paste it here. Let me put it in the Hammond file. So here I'll put. That's it. It's a multi-line comment. It will not be printed. So let me remove that error first. So it's a console dot. Let me name it as console.log. Save it. Yeah. So it's not printed because it's a comment. Okay. Now let's move to the next line. 9. So operators we have seen briefly. So you can use plus, minus, into. There are different operators. There is a modular. So there is an increment operator. There is a decrement operator. So it takes a lot of time to print this, so let's skip these parts. So increment is basically how many, if you are familiar with this, you almost know it. So it will just increment the variable by 1 point. For suppose if it is having a value of 5, so let me write it otherwise. So so let's write some code here inside scripts. For suppose let value equal to 10. So when you say val plus plus, and if you print it here, so let's print it in the console.log only. So what will happen? So 10, 1 will be incremented to the 10 and this value will be printed. So we should, so next slide examples are there. So let me check. Yeah, here you can see the examples. So anyway, I'm going to share this PowerPoint, so you can just ignore it. So just copy paste it. So increment is going to just increment the values. So here like this, you'll get this and you can save it again. So data types. So what are the different types of data types? So there are primitive, so string, number, boolean, even undefined NaN, not a number. So there are two different data types in the JavaScript. Even they are data types. So string, number, boolean, undefined. So we have discussed about these data types here. So here it is a number, it's a string, and yeah, there is a boolean operator. So for suppose if you have anything, for suppose var no value something, I didn't give any value to this variable, I didn't specify equal to equal some value, then it's an undefined. Even this is one data type, right? And what is the function and object here? Here if you see, so alert is a function, print is a function, and console document, these are the objects. So these are the non-primitive data types. There are functions, there are objects. So you can write your own objects, you can write your own functions. You're going to see it in the next session there. And yeah, so we just see that. So let me copy paste it. Yeah, just see the code. So var x equal to 16 plus hello, 16 plus 4 plus hello. So what it's going to print, so you can get it here. So tux x. So let me write another alert. Funny, do you want to take over? Hello. Hello. One second, live guys. Let's take a quick break for 2 minutes. We'll continue. Okay, sorry guys. So okay, let's continue this tomorrow. So how much? So we have completed 13 slides. So I'm going to one by one. and I want you to if there are any doubts you're getting till now. So forget about the functions and objects. We are going to discuss it tomorrow. Till now, how many doubts you have? So I'm opening the slide 1. Read this. So if you have any doubts, just ping that. I will answer that. So let's complete this tomorrow's topic, or tomorrow, whatever is completed tomorrow. If you have any doubts, just tell me. So I'm opening an introduction. So read it once for a minute, and any doubts, tell me. I'm giving you a minute. Read this, and any doubts, tell me. Revert back. So my expectation is you should be able to create an HTML file. You should be able to create a variable. You should be able to write an alert message, and that's it. And you should be able to create a separate JavaScript file, and you should be able to copy that code and paste it here, and you should refer it to that HTML page. If you are good at it, that's it. If you did it, that's fantastic. So how many of you created a separate JS file and copied the code? No doubt. So this is no doubt, introduction, no doubt, right? Let me go here. So slide right. So read this. So what are the JavaScript variables? What are the variables? Read this. Any doubts in this slide? Read this once. I'm giving you a minute. So what are the JavaScript variables? So we know that. So they'll start with the var keyword. You can save some data in the variable. So what are the values, operators? Okay, if there are no doubts, I'm moving forward. So yeah. So what is an inner HTML? We worked it. We changed the data with the inner HTML. So how many of you got it? So what is the advantage of inner HTML? So where did we use the inner HTML? If you see hammer.html file here, so copy it. So let me undo it. So let me use this. So we deleted that. So, or let me rewrite it. For suppose there is an HTML file here. Equal to h1. For suppose. So there is a default text. This is the default text. I want to change it. So how did I did it? Document dot get element by id of, there is a default function get element by id in the document object. So what is the idea for h1 element? h1 dot use this property to edit it. So this is changed h1 text. So if you want to change the content, HTML content of an element, use the inner HTML property of a JavaScript. So it will change the HTML. This is change HTML. So it did override this text to this text. Right. So I'm moving forward. So what are the comments? How many of you got it? So yeah, comment. So basically, if you don't want this to be executed as a JavaScript, you will just save it. So this piece of code will not be executed. So it's for the developer convenience to understand the logic. So if there are 10,000 files, so very complex code is there. If you want to understand that, so you'll write the comments. You'll write the proper comments. So see, this piece of code is not executed here. So because it didn't execute, the text didn't change. So the default text as it is has come here in an HTML page. That's what comments are for. So it will not, when comment is there, it will not, that piece of code will be ignored by the compiler. It will not be executed. So what are the operators we have discussed? There are multiple operators. We use perform the addition, we perform the subtraction. Similarly, you can perform the multiplication. So we can so it's a ES 2016 feature. It's a new JavaScript browsers will support, modern browsers will support this for the exponentiality. There is a division operator, there is modulus, there is increment. Increment briefly we'll discuss it tomorrow. It's a very vast concept. Any doubt in the operators? So moving forward, any doubt in a data type? So forget about the function and object. So do you know what string is? Do you know what number is? What boolean is? No doubt, clear, fantastic. Then in that case, let's wind it up today. So tomorrow we'll complete the remaining things. So maybe it doesn't take more than 30 to 40 minutes to understand the basics of it. Meanwhile, you just prepare. So go to W3 Schools. So anyway, I'll share the PPT. Go to W3 Schools. So open that. So there you can see there will be JavaScript. I will share that link also. Let me close this. Tutorials, go to learn JavaScript. I'm pasting you this link in chat. So you save it to your notepad, go there, try to understand. For suppose, go to the JavaScript introduction, read this, how to change this. Go to JS output, go to JS statements. So till now what we have discussed, statements we discussed, syntax, comments, variable, operators we discussed, arithmetic we discussed, data types we discussed. Till here you should be clear. Now you know how to create a JavaScript application. How to create an HTML page, how to create a JS file. You know that. So you should be able to practice this. Any doubts? So is there anyone who is not able to create a HTML page, who joined later, who were not from the from the beginning, who joined late? So are you able to create? In case you are not able to create a JS file or not able to create an HTML page, you can ping us. So here is my mobile number. I'm dropping my mobile number here. So save it. So save it to Notepad. So no, I'm saving. I think, wait a second. You're not able to get my messages. So let me send the public messages. Everyone, first thing, check the chart. So I pinged, and here is my mobile number. Yeah, practice it, guys. We'll discuss the advanced graphics tomorrow. Okay then, shall we drop the call? Any other doubts? Okay, thank you, Srinath. Thank you, everybody. Tragic. So will there be class? Today, let me discuss. So let me confirm. Wait a second. So meanwhile, if anyone has doubts, ask me in 2 minutes. Okay, guys, tomorrow is all day. So Monday, let's continue the JavaScript. Tuesday, we'll go to the Git. Okay, so Monday will be the class. Okay then. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patience. It's fantastic. Thank you for being participating, and thanks for your interactivity. Good. Bye. So Srinath raised hands. Thank you, Anudeep. So I'm dropping the call. Thank you so much for your time. Bhadram, I'm not familiar with that, so I don't know. I don't know what is the plan actually. So actually, I don't think no. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, it will be my section. So later he may come. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. 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 Bye all.